Welcome back to MotionPic Recap. Today we're going to recap the science fiction, action and thriller movie titled, Mortal Engines. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. More than 1,000 years into the future, after a terrible global war, remnants of mankind have created mobile cities that roam Europe. Larger cities, known as predator cities, have developed strategies of tracking down and hunting smaller cities to absorb them and gather resources. Under order of Lord Mayor Magnus Crome, and under the command of a man called Thaddeus Valentine, the predator city London is hunting down a small Bavarian mining city. The small city is trying to escape London's grasp, but is not particularly well built to do so, and ends up being absorbed. A guy called Tom is as usual late for his job, working as an apprentice in a museum in London. While at work, he shows a coworker called Kate an old device he found from a city they absorbed, containing a video of a quantum energy weapon from the Great War, which caused the destruction of the Earth, something she finds terrible. Tom tells her there were many of those weapons, and since the ancient humans felt it was terrible too, they developed crash drives like this to shut down the weapons. The citizens of the recently absorbed city are told they'll only be able to keep their personal possessions, and a woman called Hester with a red scarf covering her face looks around suspiciously. On their way down to London's gut, Tom remarks to it's a shame all sorts of historical artifacts are thrown in with the rest of the scrap to fuel the city, but remarks he tries his best to always save something. Tom tells a guy to stop, saying this is a classic and must be preserved. Valentine appears, hugging Kate, who's his daughter, and tells Tom he's got a good eye for great historical objects. Valentine remarks he knew his parents, who he loved, but asks Tom if he didn't have dreams of becoming an aviator, and Tom replies he gave it up for history. From across the hall, Hester spots them, and seems interested in Valentine. As a fight breaks out, Valentine walks up and stops his men, telling them all citizen from absorbed cities deserves to be treated with respect, and tells them all they will be given food and shelter to build a future. Suddenly Tom sees someone walking up to Valentine, who stabs him. Hester tells Valentine this is for her mother, Pandora Shaw. Tom runs up and stops her, and as she sees police are arriving, she starts running, jumping across a retracting bridge, and Tom jumps after. Valentine starts running too. Apparently, they jumped onto the absorbed city, which is being demolished. Tom tries to catch up with Hester, but is trapped. He manages to get free, and continues the chase. Suddenly, Hester sees Valentine arriving, and starts running away, but ends up at a dead end. Seeing Tom, she tries to jump, but he catches her. Hester tells him to let go, but refusing to do it, she tells him to ask Valentine why she murdered her mother, and escapes his grasp. As Valentine appears, Tom says he's sorry she got away, but remarks she said the craziest things, that he'd killed her mother. Valentine replies he's sorry he had to hear that, pushing him off. Kate appears, asking about Tom, and Valentine says the girl pushed him off. Before going, she sees someone above. Later, Kate remarks that the girl seemed to know him, but Valentine tells her it was probably just some spy from the static cities who hates them, and that wanted him killed. Kate remarks she thinks there can be peace between the mobile and static cities. Somewhere else, Hester has found Tom and is robbing him. Suddenly he wakes up, and Hester starts walking away. He asks what he should do, and Hester gets angry at him, telling him she worked 6 months on getting on board London to kill Valentine, and he sabotaged for her. Having no idea what he should do, she allows him to follow him. Valentine meets a woman, asking her when the energy project will be finished, and she says she'll need a couple more weeks unless he's got more old tech. Before he leaves, she remarks he never told her that Pandora Shaw had a daughter. She tells him she received a message from Sharkmoor prison, that they have managed to capture a stalker bounty hunter, who's apparently obsessed with hunting someone called Hester Shaw, just repeating her name over and over. Somewhere in the outlands, Hester and Tom has a meal, and Tom shares he wanted to become an aviator, but that he switched his career to history as his parents died. He asks what happened to her mother, but Hester says she won't talk to him about sad stories, and the two try to sleep. Hester has some kind of bad dream from her childhood, until she suddenly wakes up hearing Tom yelling for help. Tom tells her he sees trade towns, but Hester tells him to run, that those are from the South Outlands. They are hunted and try to run away, but Hester is hit while helping him out of the trench, and their fate seems dark. But then suddenly, the two fall into some hole at the last second. A man tells them they are very lucky that he was there, or else they'd be dead. A woman appears, offering them tea, after which the man starts driving them away from there. Meanwhile in London, Kate has tracked down the man called Beavis, who saw what happened to Tom and the girl, who she knows. Beavis drags her aside, and she explains her father is hiding something from her and is lying to her, and wants to know the truth. Beavis tells her Valentine pushed Tom off. He starts explaining for her that her father is building something in St. Paul's, that he has tried to get inside, but that it's heavily guarded, and that there's no way in. She asks him, what if there is? Hester and Tom are led to a small room where they can rest, and a while later, Tom says he's sorry and that it's his fault they are there. Suddenly, Hester starts revealing what happened to her mother. When she was a child, her mother traveled all around the world, digging up the past, and Valentine used to visit them all the time, spending hours with her poring over the things she had found. But one day, as she found something in the lost America, everything changed. Valentine attacked her mother over an object. Her mother gave her a necklace and told her to run, and if she hadn't hid and ran away, he'd killed her too. Somewhere over the Atlantic, a prison guard tells Valentine he never thought he'd live to see a stalker in the flesh. Valentine walks up to a metal cube, inside which a stalker is screaming Hester's name. Valentine asks why he's hunting Hester, and the stalker replies because she broke a promise, for which he'll kill her. As Valentine leaves, he decides to shoot down the prison, and shoot the metal cube open, releasing the stalker. As it walks up on land, it starts screaming Hester's name. Somewhere else, Hester and Tom are awakened by their hosts, who puts them in chains. Next, the two are taken out to be sold as slaves. People start bidding on Hester, and the bid goes up from 1 quirk to 4 quirks. As she's about to be sold for 4 quirks, a woman yells she bids 50 quirks. She is asked to approach the stage, and as she does, the man tells her that 50 quirks is a very generous offer, but that he happens to know the authorities has put a bounty on her head of 50,000 quirks, saying he'll hand her in. She picks up a gun, shoots the man, and then starts shooting all the other men who try to stop her. Hester picks up a gun and frees Tom, all while the woman whose name is Fang continues fighting the men. People run back to their vehicles and begin driving away, and Tom and Hester tries to avoid being squashed. Suddenly, however, the stalker appears screaming Hester's name. Tom remarks it's a stalker, and Hester tells him its name is Shrike, yelling they must run. They climb up on a vehicle to get away, managing to jump between wheels to get on board it. Shrike, however, follows them with ease, trapping them on a plateau. A shot appears from seemingly nowhere, and Fang appears with a ship telling them to jump on. Tom is however too slow, and so Hester throws him a rope. Shrike grabs it and begins dragging them down with his immense strength. Fang tells Hester to cut the rope, but instead of sacrificing Tom, she throws him the knife, and at the last second, they manage to get away. Shrike sees them getting away, but suddenly spots another aircraft. On board the flying vehicle, Fang tells Hester she's been looking for her, for a long, long time, like many others, having thought she was dead. But when she heard she was alive, she wondered how an 8-year-old could have survived in the outlands by herself, but remarks she now understands. Tom stands up, asking if she was raised by that corpse of a stalker, who is filled with hate and darkness. Hester, saddened, tells him to stop talking, remarking Shrike saved her life, and leaves. In London, Valentine is informed they've come over a bunch of ancient military-grade tech, making him very interested. Outside, as Tom walks out to say he's sorry, Hester begins telling the story of how Shrike found her as she was exhausted walking around the outlands after fleeing Valentine. Shrike took her in, and looked after her in his own way. Hester explains he liked to collect broken things, and that he probably saw himself in those things, being mostly machine himself. Hester tells Tom she thinks he had a family once, before he was turned into a machine, and that somewhere in there, memories still remain from a past life. Having always been alone and heartbroken since her mother died, Shrike offered to make her into a machine too so that she wouldn't have to carry a broken heart, and she made a promise that she would let him do it so she could become like him. But then, 6 months ago, as she heard London had passed the land bridge and Valentine had come within her reach, she ran away to avenge her mother, and Shrike began hunting her for violating her promise. In London, Kate has brought Beavis with her to meet the museum chief Pomeroy. Pomeroy explains they're late, that they came for the military-grade tech, and knocked him out. He opens a secret door, and tells them to be careful, that whatever they're doing up there, has nothing to do with God. Fang lets Tom fly for a bit, which he's not done for a long time. They arrive to a big flying city in the sky, and having landed, a man asks Fang if she's sure this girl will be able to help them, to which she says she is. Valentine is told she's ready, and that they must act now. Somewhere in the church, Beavis and Kate appear from a grave. Later that evening, Fang tells Hester that her mother had told them that she'd found a dangerous ancient piece of tech, and that if anything would happen to her, they were to find her daughter. They asks Hester what it was, but she has no idea. They remark Valentine started to buy up fusion inverter cells 6 months ago, and Tom suddenly cries out in surprise, picking out a piece of paper, and starts sketching. He asks Hester if the tech her mother found had this symbol, and Hester says yes, and Tom starts explaining her mother found a control system for a quantum energy weapon, used in the Great War. Inside St. Paul's, Kate and Beavis are trying to hide while watching Valentine and his team bringing out a computer box, and plugging it into a big machine. A woman comes running, telling Fang and the others they've spotted London on its way to the big static city of Shanguo, and will reach it in a few hours. They ask if there's any way to stop the quantum energy weapon, and Tom answers that the only way would be to use a crash drive that would cause the weapon to self-destruct, but adds there are no crash drives left. Meanwhile, Lord Mayor Chrome appears in St. Paul's, seeing the machine, asking what is going on there. He tells them to shut it down and bring the operational controls to his office. Suddenly, Valentine picks up a gun and shoots him. Beavis tells Kate she'll have to let his father go, and Kate replies he isn't her father no more. Suddenly, the Sky City's power goes down. Hester remarks Shrike is here, and they all get scared. Somewhere, someone yells there's fire, and then suddenly Shrike appears, and the team start attacking him with everything they've got, having no effect on him. Hester yells at the M to stop and get out of there, but they don't listen. The city starts going down, and Hester flees with Tom. Fang continues fighting Shrike, and they plant a grenade at his feet so that he goes through the floor. Shrike however didn't fall off, and appears in front of Hester and Tom at their aircraft. Tom tries to defend Hester, but is taken down. Hester yells to Shrike to stop, that he's going to kill him. Shrike says she won't remember him, but Hester begs for his life. Shrike remarks she's crying and that Tom hurt her, but she replies it's because she doesn't want Tom to die. Suddenly, Shrike backs up in surprise, remarking she loves him. His machinery starts malfunctioning, and Hester runs up to him. Shrike picks up a necklace, and tells Hester he took it, but that it belongs to her, adding slowly that he releases her from her promise, and lies down in exhaustion. She yells Shrike's name in sadness, but begins trying to save Tom since the city is falling. In his last moments, Shrike thinks of all the happy memories of Hester. Somewhere else, London is closing in on the static city of Shanguo, and all the aviators from the Sky City are heading there too. The city of Shanguo has created a massive defense wall to protect it from the mobile predator cities. As Hester and Tom seize the place, they remark it's the most beautiful thing they've seen. They inform the governor that London is approaching, and that they carry a quantum energy weapon. The governor replies they'll have to strike first. In London, Valentine orders to initiate the weapon. They see London approaching in the distance, and they deploy their aircraft fleet. While people prepare for the battle, Hester opens the necklace her mother once gave her, seeing a small device inside, with the quantum weapon symbol on it. She runs to Tom, showing it to him, and Tom says they'll need to find Fang. In London, Valentine orders to fire the weapon on the defense wall, and they do. A massive energy beam is released that hits the city, and generates an enormous explosion, that devastates the wall and causes massive destruction in the city. Tom and Hester find Fang, and show they have a crash drive, and say they have to get to London to disable the weapon. The team all decisively run to their aircrafts, and take off. While getting closer to London, another quantum energy beam is shot towards the city, and the team almost get hit. As they are almost there, London begins attacking them heavily, and the team starts attacking back. Suddenly, Fang's friend Nils gets shot, and before knowing it, several of the team members are shot down from the sky. Fang eventually manages to get to the moving city, and lands on a plateau. Fang tells Hester to stay out of sight until they see her signal. She jumps out, and moments later, Fang lands on the roof of St. Paul's, and tells Tom to take over the ship, and look after Hester. Inside, Valentine is preparing for yet another shot, as suddenly a guy sees Fang appears above and saves Valentine's life from her assassination attempt. Having exchanged some shots, Valentine runs up to continue the fight with swords. The gun has been automatically set to fire, and Hester takes the chance to run up to the computer. She inserts the crash drive into the computer, and plugs in the security code, activating it, just as the gun is about to shoot. Above, Fang is stabbed by Valentine, just as the machine powers down, and Valentine sees Hester. Fang yells to Hester to get out of there, after which her strength fails her and she falls down. Valentine gets distraught, and walks out of St. Paul's in anger. Suddenly he sees Kate, but as he gets up to her, she tells him angrily he's no longer a father to her. Suddenly, she hears gunshots, and asks him what he has done. Getting to London's control room, she finds the city is on collision course with the wall. Suddenly Tom is heard over comms, asking what is going on. Kate answers to his surprise, telling him all London's controls are gone. Tom says he's got an idea. Meanwhile, Valentine tries to flee on a ship, but as they try to take off, they're stuck. Valentine goes out on the roof, and sees Hester with a gun saying he's not going anywhere. Kate opens London's city absorption doors, and Tom flies in. Valentine begins telling a story about him and her mother, and reveals he's actually her father. She lets her guard down, and he takes her gun. Suddenly, Tom shoots the city engine, causing Valentine to lose balance, and he and Hester start fighting. While Tom tries his best to get out, Valentine suddenly grabs her by the throat. She picks out a knife and cuts him. He asks if she really wants to die, and she replies that no, she's gonna live, jumping off the aircraft, grabbing onto Tom's ship that appears. Tom turns around and shoots a missile, causing Valentine to go down. Somehow, Valentine manages to survive the crash, but suddenly sees London coming straight at him, crushing what is left of the cockpit. The city stops moving right before the wall, and Kate is relieved. Not long after, the citizens of London climb up the wall, meeting the governor of Shanguo and the city guard. The governor takes a look at them, and then heartily welcomes them into their city. Far above, Hester asks Tom what happens now, and Tom asks her if she wants to see the world. She gets happy, and says she would very much love to do it. The end. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this, and hit the like button to help us out. Until next time, take care.